Shio finds himself being attacked by a group of jealous hooligans, all furious and accusing him of stealing their boss's girlfriend, Shen Yao. Just as they're about to permanently alter his face, he makes a desperate leap into the water, ready to meet his end. However, instead of drowning, he stumbles upon a mysterious object, a super Q lying at the bottom of the water. Upon touching the Q, a strange energy surges through his body, and he is granted an unbelievable cheat system that makes him overpowered in real life. Ever since Shio was a young boy, he had always been known as the cool kid, admired by his peers. But everything changed one fateful day when he shed tears in front of everyone. His vulnerability became a source of ridicule, and he was mocked by his classmates. Shen Yao, who had always been his close friend, saw him sitting alone sulking outside the school after the incident. She approached him, offering comforting words of encouragement and helping to patch up his wounds, showing kindness when he needed it the most. Days passed, and during one of their study sessions, Shen Yao received a mysterious phone call from an unknown number. The caller urgently warned her to escape as dangerous individuals were coming to collect her. As Shen Yao tried to make sense of the cryptic message, she suddenly found herself in a different realm, a strange and ominous version of the library surrounded by men in suits, and all the other students had seemingly vanished. The mysterious caller guided her to a hidden room, where she was rescued by a man shrouded in secrecy. Just as he managed to save her, the man was confronted by a group of relentless attackers armed with energy guns. Despite the odds, the man's incredible agility and strength allowed him to evade the attacks and defeat his enemies one by one. The fight escalated to a dramatic aerial battle, with the man fending off his pursuers, including a powerful opponent who levitated an entire building and hurled it at him. The mysterious savior, however, shattered the building into cubes and used them to strike back, eventually sending the final enemy into a different dimension. As the battle ended, the protective watch on Shen Yao, which had kept her safe, suddenly transported her back to the library, where she was asleep, unaware of what had transpired. When she woke up, she found Shio beside her, and they continued their studying, with no memory of the bizarre events. Years later, Shio finds himself once again in a dangerous situation. He's being beaten up by Sunjun, the leader of the North City gang, and his underlings. The cause of this attack? Shen Yao's confession of her feelings to Shio in front of their friends. Sunjun, a possessive admirer of Shen Yao, had taken it upon himself to teach Shio a lesson. As the hooligans beat Shio near a water bridge, Sunjun FaceTimes Shen Yao, using Shio's phone to show her the consequences of being involved with someone else. Although Shen Yao protests, Sunjun is determined to punish Shio. Just as Shio refuses to back down, he headbutts one of the gang members and leaps into the water to escape his attackers. Sunjun's men are furious and frantic, shouting for Shio to stop playing around and emerge from the water. But Shio, sinking deeper and deeper, is consumed by despair, feeling like a useless failure for not being able to protect the girl he loves. Just as he contemplates his impending demise, he notices something shining at the bottom of the water. Curious, he investigates and discovers a glowing cube. Upon touching it, the cube enters his body and begins to burn with intense energy, causing him excruciating pain. He soon finds himself within a cosmic cube, unsure of what's happening. A voice from within the cube informs him that he now possesses the ability to teleport within a 15-meter radius of the cube's location. Before Shio can fully comprehend the situation, he is teleported into the air above the water, panicking and thinking he's about to fall to his death. Instead, he discovers that he's floating, unable to make sense of the strange turn of events. Below, the hooligans continue searching for him, while Sunjun, sensing a strange presence, looks up only to find nothing. Shio, however, has already been teleported to a classroom. Confused and disoriented, he is bombarded with questions by the voice within the cube, which is now communicating directly with him, where he's not spotted by a guard. The cube transports him back to his room. As he cleans himself up, Shio receives a phone call from Shen Yao, who had been worried since she saw him fall into the water. She had feared he was dead, but is relieved to hear he's safe. Shen Yao suggests they report the incident to the authorities, as Sunjun and his gang had gone too far this time. However, Shio tells her to relax and not worry. He insists that she should get some sleep since it's late, cutting the call without revealing the truth of what had really happened. He knows that no one would believe his story even if he tried to explain it. After the call, Shio is left alone and the cube begins to speak to him again. It reveals that he is now the chosen user of a powerful artifact known as the Herodric Cube, the ultimate universe system. Despite its small physical form, the cube contains vast, unimaginable power. Shio demands answers, questioning why the cube is helping him, to which the cube responds that it is here to assist him in achieving his ultimate goal, becoming the king of the world. However, Shio has no interest in ruling the world. His only desire is to gain enough power to protect Shen Yao from the dangers that lurk around her. The cube informs Shio that he can increase his strength and abilities by absorbing special energy gems. While regular stones can aid in leveling up, they provide only minimal increments in power. To gain true strength, Shio must obtain special gems. The cube scans his surroundings and points out various objects, including his mother's diamond ring and his father's charismatite stone, as examples of things that hold no energy force. But when the cube detects an energy gem in the garden, his microwave radiation ability to locate the glowing gem and uncovers it from the soil. Though unimpressed by its modest appearance, Shio follows the cube's instructions and feeds the gem into the system. The gem pulsates with energy, increasing Shio's strength by 2 points and his endurance by 1 point. These improvements translate into real-life combat abilities, making Shio noticeably stronger. The next morning, Shio wakes up feeling exhausted from the previous night's activities. He rushes to school, only to be scolded by Shen Yao for hanging up on her during their phone call. As they enter class, their friends tease Shen Yao about confessing her feelings for Shio. However, the laughter is cut short when Sunjin and his gang storm the classroom, searching for the so-called Rizzler. The gang's thugs start roughing up one of the students, demanding to know Shio's whereabouts. Shio hides behind a book in the classroom, trying to stay out of sight from Sunjin and his gang. However, Sunjin seems to have spotted him, and with an unsettling smirk, he starts walking toward him. Shio, now anxious about the impending confrontation, asks the cube if the power-up he received yesterday gave everything to him. Sunjin, visibly irritated by Shio's boldness, grabs Shio by the shirt, attempting to intimidate him. But Shio stands his ground, refusing to show fear. He tightens his grip on Sunjin's hand, surprising the gang leader with his newfound strength. Sunjin can hardly believe how much stronger Shio has become in such a short time. Just as things start to escalate, the teacher walks into the classroom, putting an end to the confrontation. But before leaving, Sunjin leans in close and whispers to Shio that he should meet him at the basketball court at 5:00 p.m. If Shio doesn't want Shen Yao to be dragged into this mess, he better show up. Later that afternoon, Shio enters the indoor basketball court to find Sunjin and his 13 gang members waiting for him. Sunjin orders his men to close the doors, ensuring that Shio won't escape this time. Shio assesses the situation, and the cue immediately provides him with a probability check. It informs him that he has only a 20% chance of winning if they all attack him together. Despite the odds, Shio remains resolute, determined to stand his ground. Sunjin confronts Shio, demanding that he promise to stop seeing Shen Yao. He also wants Shio to kneel and apologize for his actions. In response, Shio mocks Sunjin, calling him out for not being a good role model to his underlings. He questions why Sunjin won't fight him one-on-one, accusing him of being too afraid to face him directly. Shio pushes Sunjin's buttons further by revealing that he went easy on him earlier that morning in front of the class. This sends Sunjin into a fury, but before he can lash out, one of the gang members steps forward. This new opponent, a burly, bald man, offers to fight Shio instead, claiming that Shio isn't worth Sunjin's time. The bald man is revealed to be the strongest fighter in the gang. The cube, however, reassures Shio that he has nothing to fear, as the bald man's combat level is only 10, far below Shio's current abilities. The bald man begins the fight by throwing a basketball at Shio, but he easily dodges it. The gang member follows up with a barrage of punches, but Shio evades each one with swift movements. Meanwhile, Shen Yao grows increasingly concerned as she tries calling Shio, but he doesn't answer. Worried, she contacts the school authorities to alert them of the situation. Back at the court, the fight between Shio and the bald man continues, but it's clear that the bald man is growing frustrated. He's unable to land a single hit on Shio, and his energy is quickly depleting. In a fit of rage, the bald man charges at Shio, but Shio effortlessly catches his foot, landing a solid punch to the man's face. With a single move, Shio throws the bald man aside like he's nothing, knocking him out cold. The gang stands in shock, unable to comprehend how their strongest fighter was so easily defeated. Panic spreads among them as they realize Shio's true strength. Undeterred, Shio calls out to the gang, daring anyone else to come forward and face him. Sunjin, however, laughs mockingly. He's no longer concerned with one-on-one fights. His plan is to have all of his men attack Shio at once. The cube analyzes the situation again and informs Shio that his chances of winning have now increased to 30%, following the defeat of the bald man. The gang begins to chant, preparing to overwhelm Shio with their numbers, but Shio was undeterred. With the help of the system, he is able to keep up with their moves, dodging and countering their attacks. He takes down 2 more of the gang members in quick succession. The gang, seeing their numbers starting to dwindle, resorts to dirty tactics. One of them tries to sneak up on Shio, but Shio, quick to adapt, kicks him in the groin, sending the man flying into the air. Sunjin, now growing desperate, urges his remaining men to attack with everything they've got. Xiao, however, uses the entire court to his advantage, maneuvering around the gang and getting the upper hand. Despite their overwhelming numbers, the gang manages to land a few hits on him. Xiao, now visibly annoyed by their cowardly tactics, decides to take matters into his own hands. With an impressive display of strength, he grabs one of the gang members by the legs, spins him around like a ragdoll, and throws him directly into Sun Jian's face. As Sun Jian staggers, recovering from the blow, he looks around and realizes with dread that Xiao has already defeated every last one of his men. Fear fills his eyes as he realizes that he has messed with the wrong person. Xiao, with a cold and confident stride, begins walking toward him, the tension in the air palpable. Sun Jian's bravado fades, replaced by sheer terror as he understands that Xiao is no longer someone he can intimidate or control. The system alerts Xiao that he is completely exhausted and can no longer continue fighting. Sun Jian, unaware of Xiao's condition, begins to scream in terror, tears and snot streaming down his face as he begs Xiao not to approach him. Just as Xiao prepares to deal with him, the lights in the gym suddenly flicker on and a rival gang from the South City enters. The new gang members start mocking Sun Jian and his North City crew for being weak and losing to a single rookie. The leader of the South City gang, named Zhuan, steps forward and orders Sun Jian to relinquish his position as the boss of the city, claiming that Sun Jian is too weak to hold that role. Xiao, tired of the endless chatter, just wants to give Sun Jian a final warning, telling him to never interfere with Shen Yao again. But Zhuan takes offense at Xiao's interruption and sees this as the perfect opportunity to show Sun Jian how a true leader handles things and how to properly deliver a beatdown. The system, concerned for Xiao's well-being, advises him to flee as he's not in any condition to fight. However, Zhuan and his gang don't give Xiao a chance to escape. Since the cube is in Xiao's house, not directly with him, he cannot teleport out of the gym's radius. The system then directs him toward the edge of the teleportation zone, guiding him just in time for Xiao to teleport out of the gym, avoiding capture by the South City gang. Now that Xiao knows the boundaries of his teleportation range, he decides to use his abilities strategically. He turns off the lights and begins to ambush Zhuan and his gang, using the darkness to his advantage. When the lights come back on, Zhuan's gang members are all lying defeated, much to Sun Jian's shock and disbelief. He can't comprehend how Xiao could have taken down so many people so easily, and he wonders if Xiao is even human anymore. Meanwhile, outside the gym, a crowd begins to form as people bang on the doors, demanding to be let in. Shen Yao has arrived at the higher-ups, believing that Xiao may be in danger inside and possibly trapped. Before the door is opened, Xiao comes up with a plan to get out of this situation. He notices Sun Jian attempting to flee and decides to give him one final opportunity to save face. Xiao calls out to him, telling him to hold up. Sun Jian, completely desperate and broken, falls to his knees and starts slamming his face into the ground, begging for forgiveness in an exaggerated display. Xiao surprisingly agrees to spare him, but only if Sun Jian promises to admit his faults to the school administrators and turn over a new leaf. He also makes one final demand. Sun Jian must swear to never, ever bother Shen Yao again. When the doors finally open, the higher-ups and Shen Yao are shocked to find Sun Jian on his knees looking utterly defeated. Xiao pretends to punch him in the face, making it seem as though Sun Jian had gotten into a huge gang fight in the gym while Xiao was merely an innocent bystander who got caught up in a conflict. This clever ruse helps Xiao avoid further suspicion, and he walks away with the situation diffused. After the ordeal, Xiao reflects on what has just transpired. He understands now that he has reached the limits of his current abilities. If he truly wants to protect those he cares about, he needs to become much stronger. With this in mind, Xiao embarks on a new quest, seeking out gems to boost his power. Unfortunately, most of the gems in his city are either already owned by others or too expensive for him to afford. Determined, Xiao decides to venture into the mountains near his home in search of special stones. He purchases treasure hunting equipment to make the search easier, but soon discovers that finding these gems isn't going to be as simple as he thought. Many of the gems are located in places that are either too dangerous or inaccessible for him to reach. His frustration grows when he spots one final gem located 15 meters underground. It seems impossible to retrieve as he can't dig that deep. Just as he's about to give up, the system informs him that the area where the gem is located is hollow. This means he might be able to teleport inside provided there's a gap somewhere. Thinking quickly, Xiao walks over to a body of water nearby. He believes that if there's a gap in the hollow space, water might seep into the cave. Standing on the surface of the water, Xiao uses his microwave radiation ability to locate the opening. Once he identifies the gap, he successfully teleports into the cave where the gem awaits him. However, as he ventures deeper into the cave, he encounters an obstacle. The passageway leading to the gem is completely blocked, preventing him from teleporting any further. At this moment, Shio feels defeated and frustrated. But just as he's about to give up, a gentle breeze blows through the cave, signaling the presence of another gap. Using the same technique, he locates the opening and teleports to the final destination where the gems are kept. Unfortunately, when he arrives, he finds that the gems are hanging from the ceiling, just out of reach. Determined not to fail, Shio ties himself to a nearby rock to prevent himself from falling into the water below while he tries to retrieve the gems. Since he can only teleport a limited number of times, this rope method is his best option to safely collect the gems without risking his life. While collecting the gems, disaster strikes. One of the stones slips from his grasp and falls into the water below. Panicking, Shio uses his microwave radiation to locate where it landed, but instead of finding the gem, he senses something far more dangerous: a massive snake lurking behind him. With his current power level, there's no way Shio can win against such a creature. As the snake attacks, Shio tries to defend himself with a shovel, but the snake is relentless, and during the struggle, Shio backs up and falls over the edge of the cliff. The rope that had been holding him snaps, and Shio plunges into the water below. The snake wastes no time closing in on him and preparing to strike. In a desperate mood to save himself, Shio teleports into the queue, narrowly avoiding death. However, since he only managed to collect 11 out of the 12 stones, the system informs him that it's now possible to synthesize 3 gems to create a higher-level gem. The system explains that there are 3 levels of gems: elementary, intermediate, and advanced. Elementary gems offer only a small boost to attributes, but advanced gems can provide a massive increase in power and might even unlock special abilities. Excited by the possibility, Shio tells the cube to synthesize the gems into advanced level ones. The system agrees but informs him that it will take 100 hours to complete the synthesis. Shio is devastated by the wait, but the cube suggests that he absorb the remaining 2 gems he collected to level up. This will allow him to gain enough strength to defeat the giant snake when the time comes. After absorbing the 2 gems, Shio teleports back into the cave. Thanks to his enhanced speed and spiritual attributes, he is now able to defeat the snake with ease. Once the creature is vanquished, Shio retrieves the final gem, which turns out to be another elementary level stone. He decides to absorb it as well, further increasing his power. Meanwhile, outside the gym, Sungjin and Wan, still reeling from their defeat at Shio's hands, find themselves bonding over their shared humiliation. They decide to go out drinking and plot their revenge on Shio, vowing to get back at him for everything he's done. This brings the episode to a close, with Shio's journey toward greater strength just beginning. The story begins on a rainy night in the ominously named Forest of Death. A terrible scream echoes through the trees as a man clutches the bloody hole where his eye used to be. A hooded figure cackles at the sight, remarking that the Empire must truly be in decline if even someone like Glenn could defeat one of its best heroes. Glenn doesn't take kindly to the backhanded compliment, but the man missing his eye takes it even worse. He confronts the hooded men, demanding to know why they would betray their comrades. A joker among them surveys the bodies nearby and commends the fallen hero and his allies for completing their difficult sealing mission with just 4 people. However, now that the hard work is done, they must die so that the rest of the group can take the credit. With one final cry, the betrayed hero is cut down and the rest is history. Years later, we arrive in Rildia. One such wagon hides a young girl, nervous but excited. Soon, she will cross the border and reach the land of the 7 heroes, a place of peace and legend. Within the city, the warrior monk Raj delivers a speech. Though it pains him, he must oversee today's execution of stowaways. As the prisoners are strung up and cruelly executed, Raj reminds the crowd that only those with lawful travel passes from his monastery may cross the border. Any who attempt to sneak in will meet the same fate as those hanging above. Nearby, a mysterious one-eyed man watches in disgust. The girl in the wagon is discovered and dragged before the monks accused of being a stowaway. Raj, irritated that the previous executions haven't even been cleaned up yet, orders her to be dealt with swiftly. Just as her hopes seem lost, a stranger appears, calling her Peppy and scolding her for getting into trouble.